Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae. Trae. With Trae. With Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae. Trae. With Trae. With Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Oh, come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome back to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. You know, and I say welcome back because we're still here, y'all, in the Paramount Theatre. Shout out to STG Presents and all of the partners that are making this happen. I got to give a huge shout out to Elite Collective for also being here. It's so great to have so many amazing folks in the building. But we are continuing this conversation, y'all, about this 100 days of action connected to this 100 days of peace. You know, when we talk about peace, we're really talking about putting the guns down and really uprooting the solutions that are happening in community so that they're impacting so many more community members. So I'm so excited because I got an amazing representative of Community Passageways here with me today, Mark Rivers. And later on in the show, we also get to talk to Shantel Patu. Y'all, we are continuing this discussion by showcasing to you all today what community organizations are doing about this 100 days of action and 100 days of peace. So I'm so glad y'all are joining me once again. But before we get into it, you know it's the top of the show, right? So this is where you join in, you participate, you help us grow here on the Day with Trae by sharing this show with folks who you feel could benefit from our daily dose of dopeness. And also, if you can't watch us, we still have you covered, okay? No tripping over here. You can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network in the Day with Trae. You'll find me wherever your favorite platform is. There's like 200 of them, right? So just search your favorite one. We'll be right there. Well, up next, we got Mark Rivers in the building. We're going to be talking about the great work Community Passageways is doing. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trae? Thank you for having me.
You know, this is my neighborhood, like old school childhood homeboy brother.
Yes, it is.
And so it's so great to see you doing this work. You've been at Community Passageways almost a year now. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about your role there.
So over at Community Passageways, I'm the deputy director over our community violence piece. Critical incident responders serve under me, as well as our outreach team. So on a daily basis, like we're out in the community serving.
You know, this is really special. Yesterday, talking to a young person, Jamani, who said, you know, he told the young folks, hey, give mentors a chance.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about that because when we talk about this critical response team, y'all are out there. Y'all are working to build those relationships and make sure young folks know they got somebody they can tap in with. Tell us a little bit more about what that work looks like day in and day out.
Yeah. So, and Jamani's right? It just takes sometimes for the young people to lend us an ear real fast so we can show them that we really care. But our critical incident response team, they go out like when, you know, shootings happen and they show up to the scene. Just like first responders, they show up to the scene and they're there to support the families as well as the victim, right? During that time of need. And if they need resources, we're gonna provide resources. We need to connect with the family so we can figure out like what's going on. How can we help? And then how can we put out the next fire so that we don't have another incident?
Yeah, this is so important to me, and this work that y'all are doing is so necessary. I appreciate the word critical because that's when y'all are showing up in those critical times for families. How are families responding to the work y'all are doing in community? Because I do know there's also this notion of, hey, you know, you ain't got to tell me nothing or whatever. But when people are going through a crisis and someone in community is there to help and uplift a hand, tell us about how folks are responding to the services y'all offer.
You know, a lot of times people won't ask for help. So when you just come genuinely to care, like, it's received with love, because they be needing somebody just to come and care, and just to bring a sense of like the next thing. What else can I do? Mom need groceries. Let's go get her Instacart, some groceries. Go up to the hospital, go visit her young son, and then walk with him through transitioning out of that incident to then, trying to get back being whole. And oftentimes she's going to work, taking care of the younger ones. So just to know somebody's there to love and care for her baby, like, it means a lot to them, and definitely appreciative.
I really appreciate the work. It's interesting too, because it feels like the need has grown, Mark, right?
Sure.
I mean, from when we were growing up, it just is not the same.
No.
And this need is ever growing. How are y'all responding to those growing needs?
Man, from when we was growing up, go ahead and 10X it, right? Social media definitely plays its part. And so I think for us, we have people who are genuinely from the community, right? They're indigenous to this community. So we've seen the transition from then to now. We have the relationships with those parents, those cousins, those brothers. And so like, that's really the secret sauce, is the relationships. And so we know that that's what we're going to lean on. And so for us to help, we got to be outside. And so that's what we're going to do. To meet the need is go build those authentic, those genuine, those trusted relationships, so that when we have a conversation with a young person, take them out to eat, there's that much more chance that they'll listen. And it's that just that more chance that they'll know before they bust a move, like, let me call big bro, let me call aunt, you know what I'm saying? So
I'm so touched by this work, and
sure.
and having grown up with you, it's great to see you in this position. They got
Thank
the
you.
right person on board as deputy director, but also too, this takes partnership. There's a lot of great organizations that are doing this work, and this week we've been really spotlighting what it looks like for multiple nodes to be invested in this work. And
Right.
tell us a little bit about those partnerships that y'all also have to have in order to do this effectively.
Yeah, it takes the full ecosystem. This is not a one-man band show, but it takes everybody to do their part. And so organizations like Urban Fam, Rainier Vista, Community Passageways, the Y, like, it takes us all to do our part within the ecosystem. But it's also, the funders, government, the teachers, the schools, the school district. Like, it takes us all to like really be intentional about the work that we're doing on behalf of our young people. And when they come across your space, like, what can you actually provide? What's gonna make them come back? Because too often, they go around and they get put out because they're living in their trauma. And so rather than being another place that puts them out, we're the people that want to bring them in. And it takes, all of us to have multiple places for them to come. Not just one part of the city, but all throughout the city. Where can they get help? And so, it takes all of us.
When we talk about this 100 days of action and this 100 days of peace, tell us your perspective on this work, this kind of initiative, right? Sounds good. What is it looking like practically out there day in and day out in the work y'all are doing?
Yeah, I think that like the thought behind it is like, let's have a hyper focus behind us, the work that we're doing, and really try to, bring some of this stuff down. And so it looks like being out there longer hours, looks like creating, like being innovative in what we're going to provide. So things like peace camps and things like that, like, we can take the young people out of their environment and just give them a place where they can think and they can breathe for a second and not have to be on go, But it's really like trying to be creative within 100 days on how we can really serve them and just get them to a place of normalcy. And then be able to, those things that we're not in front of, preventative, right? But get and do the intervention work, and let's put out some of those fires. Let's try to do some mediation and some de-escalation between maybe rival sides.
Yeah. that kind of work is truly intricate, right? Because
sure.
that takes, you have to really have those relationships in order to bring two parties to the table. So I know that y'all are unique in that approach because everyone really can't do that work. And that's something that has to come from community rooted.
Right.
But when you think about how it's going, I mean, we're about halfway through. You're talking about longer hours. And I got to ask a couple of things here.
Yeah.
One is how y'all continue to get folks from community to be engaged in the work because that's important. And furthermore, how this is the work y'all are doing is not 9 to 5, right?
Nah.
Like that work y'all are doing, you know, it takes the right person to understand, man, this is a part of my purpose.
Yeah.
And it's how I give back. How do y'all suss that out?
Well, you know, what we always say is like, this is God's work. And so when you truly come to serve people, like that's what's going to keep your fire burning. Like this is not a 9 to 5. UPS is always hiring, right?
Yeah.
But this is work that you got to come in and serve with your whole heart. And really want to see a young person, you know, go from, you know, living in their traumas to then, you know, being successful and growing out of their traumas and finding a place of peace. And for me, I've been in it long enough where I've seen it. You had your money on here, like we see it. Like that's a real live example. And so, I mean, if you're committed, right, and you're dedicated to what you're doing, and that's any craft, like, you know, it's not just going to be from 9 to 5, but you're going to have to put in the OT in order for it to work. So, yeah, I think that, like, we're intentional also about making sure who we hire. And, you know, like, what's your story? What's your background? And usually, you know, it's people who, you know, they've got a story. And they know what it took for them to come out the other side. And so that's what they want to do. They want to come back and they want to serve and they want to see somebody make that same transition they did.
Yeah. It's beautiful work. Lastly, I got to ask about, you know, how much of your work is led by that youth voice. So much of this is y'all can figure out all of these things up top. If it's not permeating, what's the point, right?
Right.
And so how do y'all involve, you know, youth voice in the approaches y'all are taking in this way?
Well, I mean, you know, there's focus groups and things like that where, you know, you get youth to say, but like when you spend that one-on-one time, like the biggest thing that you can do is listen. Like not a whole bunch of talking. Nobody really care about your story. You know, your story's not that important to them. And so just listening and really hearing like what they're going through, what they need. That's the work across the board. Like that's the first thing I train my people in is just how to listen. You know, be quiet for a second, hear them, and then try to see what we may have to provide them, you know, that need. But then things like what happened at Garfield tragically, right? We went and we just listened to the youth and heard like, what do they want inside their school? What to make them feel safer? We've done surveys just to see like, do y'all feel safer when we're around? And it's an astounding yes. Like when y'all show up, like we know somebody's there to care. We know that, you know, there's somebody I can come to. And so it takes a variety of things, but for sure, the youth have to lead the conversation and they have to tell you what they want. It's not just a bunch of adults trying to give them what we think is right. They're turning it down. That ain't what I asked for. So yeah, for sure. Like the first thing is just listen.
Well, being in this work for so many years, before I ask you about, you know, how folks need to get engaged and really support the work y'all are doing, I got to ask how this resonates with you because you're someone from the community, you know, to be in this work. I'm telling you, when I saw you a part of Community Passageways, I went, oh my gosh, what a breath of fresh air. And I know so many of the brothers over there
for sure.
and sisters. So it's so great to have you there. But tell us a bit about how all of this work resonates with you personally.
Yeah, well, you know, coming up where we came up from, man, there was times in life where I can remember where I just needed somebody like me. I needed somebody to care. You know, it could have got me maybe to the NBA, maybe to the NFL. I ain't too tall, but so the NBA may be a stretch. But I might have done better in me going to school on time. You know, if I just knew that somebody cared, somebody come pick me up, take me to go get something to eat. And so, like, that's how it really resonates. I know what it feels like to feel like you're alone as a teenager. And so I want to do my damnedest just to make sure that our young people have somebody so they don't feel alone. And so that's the biggest way it resonates with me. Like, I call my phone, call it 3 a.m, 2 a.m. Let's figure it out. You go to jail, like, call. Let's figure it out. You need me to come to court? Call. Let's figure it out. But you're not alone. You got somebody who's riding with you for sure.
This is so beautiful, Mark, and it's so great to hear. Of course, if folks are trying to tap in, support the work y'all are doing, especially as y'all increasing the initiative with this 100 Days of Action, 100 Days of Peace.
Yeah.
Look right there. Let folks know how they need to tap in.
Go ahead and go to communitypassageways.org. You can tap in, refer young people from there. If you're somebody who wants to get into work, you can go on there, apply for one of the jobs that's on there. We also have a service center on 23rd and Jackson. Just come stop by. Say what's up. Come see what's going on. Come see the young people that's coming in and going out, getting services. You see my team. We're going to be posted on 23rd and Jackson. We're also in front of Garfield Community Center. Garfield Community Center and the high school every single day. So if you see the highlighter shirts, stop by, say what's up, and just know we're out here serving.
Mark, thanks so much for your service, bro. It's beautiful to see.
It's good. It's good. It's a blessing.
Wow. Y'all, this is what I'm talking about. This initiative involves all of us. And we're going to be hearing up next from Shantel Patu, who's going to be telling us about the work that she and her organization are doing to uplift this work and to actually engage with young folks. Y'all, I'm looking forward to it. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. You're watching The Day with Trae.
In your 40s, your body break down.
The comedy of Leslie Jones.
You trying to have sex after 46? Put my leg down! Put my leg down!
The hilarious Leslie Jones.
I got osteoporosis.
Don't miss Leslie Jones.
Thank you so much.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
Welcome back, y'all, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Oh, y'all, this is really filling my soul. I got to welcome Shantel Patu with Urban Family. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you.
It's very good to be here with you.
This is special work. Tell us a bit about your why behind this work.
Oh, that's a good question. My husband and I co-founded Urban Family mainly because we kept seeing so much of the pain in the youth that we were serving from the pain in ourselves. That sense of neglect and lack of parenting, lack of feeling love from others, from family members, and we wanted to replace that. And so we would pour ourselves into the youth that we were mentoring, but we knew that they needed more, specifically their families. So we started looking at creating an organization that would not only address the needs of the youth that we serve, but also the needs of their families.
You know, that is so important. We sometimes think about this work in silos and the youth getting services and everything else, but when they go home to something that's not serving them, you know, how do we make that connection? So I really love hearing that y'all have had that intentional focus. You know, we've been talking about this 100 days of peace, 100 days of action. What is that looking like on y'all's end to tap into that initiative? And likely what I'm hearing is really is an increase of what you're already doing. Tell us more about what that's looking like for Urban Family.
Well, Urban Family and the SCSI Network, we're part of the Seattle Community Safety Initiative. We call ourselves Cousins in the Work. We work with Community Passageways, Southeast Network, and the YMCA. And we created the 100 Days of Peace as a call to action for the work that we are doing to be ramped up so that we could start looking at even more ways that we could be effective. The 100 Days of Action kind of correlate at the same time, and it's more of a partnership where both of our 100 days are kind of working together. Ours is focused from a community-based perspective where we are providing more of the relentless engagement, just ramping up our efforts with the amount of youth that we are serving, as well as the amount of youth outreach workers and community safety specialists that we're putting out into the streets to do the work, and then also more aggressive efforts on the measures and the methods we're using to provide services for the youth. One of these being 2 huge peace camps that we're doing next month, where we're taking kids to camp for about 4 days. We're doing 2 different camps for about 50 youth for each of the camps, and this is going to be a huge pull on our efforts because we're getting old. We've been doing camps for a long time, but fortunately we have younger people working for us that will help. But
well, it showcases the level of dedication that you and your husband really have had in terms of uplifting community and staying community rooted. How has that served you as a leader in this work and someone who cares so much? You've seen a lot. You've gone through a lot. How is it serving you?
You know, we've been doing this a long time, so there's a few decades behind our names now. However, most of our programs have this moniker where we call them, like our safety program is called Neighborhood 360, our family program is Family 360, and our youth program is Youth 360. The 360 represents that the families and the youth that we serve typically receive enough of love, support, and care in our web of care and support to where they can in turn not only pour back into themselves, but they'll pour back into their communities. And we can say that like at least 50% of our current staff are kids that used to be in our programs, whether they were in our daycare when we used to do daycare, or whether they are in our actual youth programs and went through our mentorship groups, and now they in turn have become mentors and community safety specialists. So that keeps me going, knowing that we're pouring this into the next generation so they can take up this banner, and keep it going. That's definitely what keeps me going.
Really, this week, my heart is so filled and so touched. Jamani, gave y'all a shout out. And it was really impactful for me because we don't hear enough from those who are going through these programs. Because I think from the outside looking in, sometimes we go, oh, another program or another program. And you don't really get to understand the impact. So I love hearing that. 50% is huge.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's huge. And it's so rewarding.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course, please.
Another big piece that people miss out on with this work is they hear about the gunshots, they hear about the victims, they hear about the damage, but they don't hear about the shots that were stopped, the fires that weren't fired. The shots that weren't fired. We have so many youth that were en route or were ready to make the wrong decision and decided to call their mentor instead. That doesn't get captured by the media. It's difficult to document that in our reports, but we are able to create that kind of impact on a consistent basis. And so to see Jamani sitting here now, knowing that he was 12 years old with his younger brothers running the streets, doing whatever they thought they needed to survive, and him making that 360-degree change to now forward, pay that forward, is everything, and it's not captured enough. So thank you for taking the time to speak with him about that. That was awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like anytime. Okay. Anytime. Yeah, and I told him that, and I'm telling you, because that's really what I think our role in media is. Our role is to continue to spotlight highlight the fact that when we show more and more stories that are inspiring, we begin to eliminate the apathy that so many people feel. So that's my call, right? That's my purpose in terms of like, how do I continue to shed light on all the things going right in our community? Yes, we're going to have to sometimes deal with those tragedies and those crisis moments, but ultimately I am so thankful to be in a community where there's so many great folks like yourself doing this work and dedicating yourself to this work. I mean, you've been doing it for decades. And so I just want to give you your flowers, because honestly, you know, I'm trying to keep it together, y'all. I am trying. Folks like you are so important. It's so important. And this work sometimes is done and it can be thankless, or it's only thanked by those who you're directly serving. And so, although I've never been in your program, I'm so thankful for what you all do in such a real way. So just thank you. What is it that people need to be doing to continue to support the work you all are doing? I want to make sure folks understand this isn't just about you, your staff, those who are, you know, employed by these organizations. This is all of us. What call to action do you give those who may find themselves outside of this work?
You know, what comes to mind is the word grace. Our media is not carrying our narratives the way they need to be carried. They're not telling our stories the way they need to be told. Converge Media is one of the few, if only, media outlets that actually hears our stories and tells them back to the community in their truth. And people hear a story and it is automatically taken by our media and made into this, it's typically the light shined on it, has nothing positive to do with our work. It always points back to say what we weren't doing, or I thought there were outreach workers, or I thought there was what happened to reduction in gun violence, or what's going on for this 100 days of peace or this 100 days of action. They're always pointing the finger and not giving us the credit or even the acknowledgement that we are making a difference, and that's not fair. And so I think just letting people out there that are listening to this to hear our stories and know that they're genuine, that there are authentic people putting their lives on the line that make a difference in the lives of these youth. And it's not as simple as he's just a lost kid that decided to pick up a gun one day. He has a story. Our victims still have stories. These mothers that have lost their children have stories. And we're not telling the stories. They're not being heard with the right sense of grace to understand that there are two sides to this, and both sides are impacted. And so I think people need to have more grace.
Wow, you're truly blessing me today. And I am beyond touched and moved. I'm grateful. That's what I can tell you is I'm grateful. And you're absolutely right. If there's anything I can ever do on the Day with Trae in my personal life, you know, utilizing media to continue to uplift those stories, you know, you let us know, because we're here for you. Thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. You're so genuine.
Wow. Y'all, I'm so moved this week because this is so important to all of us. I'm going to wrap up all of this movement right after this break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Disenrollment is a situation whereby people whose birthright to be indigenous is being stolen from them by politicians that have been elected to lead.
Today, the latest or last chapter of the saga concerns the threatened physical ejectment of as many as 21 Nooksack families from their homes.
I think it come about by hatred for our family. That's what it's all about.
Our bloodline is still here. You know, they can't get rid of us.
Here on Back to Besa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Besa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. It's beyond a huge shout out to my guests today, Mark and Shantel. You know, Community Passageways, Urban Family, the work that they are doing, it is beyond necessary in our community. We talk often about what can be done, and Chantel's right. You know, we point to what wasn't done before we understand that so much has been done. And I'm encouraging you all this week to really understand that you play a part in this. This isn't outside of you. This is alongside you. It involves you. This idea that like, well, my kids are not involved, so I don't need to be involved, or I don't have kids, or whatever story you tell yourself to keep yourself out of this work. It isn't true. We all benefit when our communities are healthy and safe. That is a fact. We all benefit, which means that when our communities are not healthy and they're not safe, it's a detriment to all of us. If we understood it as that, we would actually care more and we'd do more. It shouldn't take your family being directly impacted by some act of gun violence for you to tap into this work. This week, we're giving you a lot of different perspectives so that you understand all of the ways that people are pouring into it, because I'm encouraging you to do what? Always to be a part of the solution, y'all. So even if it is volunteering, donating, being, supportive of these organizations so they can continue to thrive and to exist in our communities so that they can build capacity to serve more people in our community. That is important. It doesn't matter what it is you give. It just matters that you give. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll continue this discussion in the beautiful Paramount tomorrow. Until then, at 11 a.m., y'all. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.